Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the NBA DFS Core Pick video for Tuesday, November 4th. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We'll be going over my core picks for both DraftKings and FanDuel. It'll be one player at each position, so point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. And with that being said, it's a 4-game main slate on DraftKings, 6 games over on FanDuel. We do have 3 teams in total on back-to-backs, and that's going to be the Milwaukee Bucks, the Miami Heat, and the Los Angeles Clippers. In the morning, I'll be posting my early morning injury report. They'll have all the injury reports for the teams that are not on the back-to-back. Those 3 teams that are on back-to-backs will have their injury reports posted later on in the day, so definitely be on the lookout for all that information down in that comment section, as well as injury updates throughout the day, and as many starting lineups I can get to throughout the evening as well. And then I will have an updated core about 20 to 30 minutes prior to lock. They'll be left as a pinned comment. If there are no changes at that point in time, we'll simply leave a comment that says no changes at this point in time. But without further ado, we'll get into it. The DraftKings side, we're going to start off at that point guard position. I got Jeremiah Fears of the New Orleans Pelicans here. He's at $4,700. And he's currently averaging about 25 DraftKings points so far in the season. At $4,700, we're looking for at least 24 out of him. And I currently have him projected for about 28, 29. Definitely do like the upside in this matchup going against the Charlotte Hornets, especially if LaMelo Ball doesn't play. Even if he plays, it looks like a really positive matchup just in general. If he goes out there, if the shot's going down, if he's getting the minutes, definitely has a ton of upside for even more. And then at shooting guard, we're going to go down the opposite end of that matchup with Con Knippel of the Charlotte Hornets. He's at $5,500, looking for 27, 28 out of him, currently averaging 25 so far in the season. But an up and down season for him, as you would expect with a young rookie player. The games that he's getting extra shots and the shots that are going down looks pretty good. You know, if LaMelo Ball doesn't play, obviously there's more volume and shots to go around just in general. And if that's the case, I do currently have him projected for about 28 DraftKings points. Might have a little bit upside for more, but does come with some downside for less. Not a lot of guys that I do like at the shooting guard position early on. Obviously, there's always the chance that value does open up throughout the day, though. And then we move down to small forward. Going with Brandon Ingram here. He's at $7,300, so we're looking for about 37 out of him. He's currently averaging 37.5 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against Milwaukee Bucks. Should be a pretty interesting matchup there. It should be a pretty back and forth game, I would expect. The Bucks are on a back-to-back, so they might be a little bit more worn down, which could be a favorable matchup for this Raptors team just in general. Brandon Ingram's played really well the last 3 games. He's up over 40 fantasy points in all 3 of those games. Currently, I'm projected for 39 in this matchup. Definitely does come with a little bit upside for more. Obviously, there is downside for less if his shot's not going down, but he's a guy that can contribute in multiple categories at the same time as well. Moving now to power forward, there's a lot of good high-end guys at the top if you want to go up there, but ultimately I went with the value play here in Patrick Williams, and he comes in at $3,600, so looking for 18 out of him, and typically you want to get at least 20 points out of guys that are this cheap, under $4,000 or less. So with that being said, he's averaging just under 20 so far in the season. Currently I'm projected for 20-21 in this matchup, and there is a chance that Ayo DeSumma misses for this game, which would open up some additional minutes off the bench for this Bulls team. You know, if Patrick Williams goes out, if he's playing well, definitely could outperform this price tag in a pretty meaningful way. Obviously, he is a pick that could very much change as the day moves along if we do get some other value that does ultimately end up opening up. And then last but not least, we're going to go with Kristaps Porzingis at that center position. Comes in at $6,800, so we're looking for at least 34 out of him, averaging over 35 so far in this season. It's an interesting matchup versus the Orlando Magic, maybe not the most favorable one, but with no Trae Young out there is some additional shots to go around. Should favor Kristaps Porzingis just in general, and I currently have him projected for about 36, 37 DraftKings points. But with that being said, if you go with the 5 players that I do currently have listed here, you got $22,100 remaining, just under $7,400 remaining per player. So a decent amount of money remaining, whether you want to pay up for kind of a stud player. Not too much up there, you know, especially if Giannis doesn't play on the back-to-back, if LaMelo Ball's out. We're not getting too much value at the top, so maybe a little bit more of a balanced build day the rest of the way from here. Obviously, if you want to do a balanced build to start off, it does make some sense on the DraftKings side where we do only have 4 games just in general. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to FanDuel and talk about my core picks over there as well. So on the FanDuel side, we get 2 additional games, so it's a 6-game main slate, so a couple more options there just in general. I'm going to start at the point guard position once again with Jeremiah Fears of the New Orleans Pelicans. $4,900 on the FanDuel side, so we're looking for at least 25 out of him. Currently averaging just under that so far in the season. Looks favorable matchup going against the Charlotte Hornets, especially if LaMelo Ball doesn't play. But like I mentioned on DraftKings, even if he does ultimately end up playing, should be a good matchup for fears either way. So as long as he's going out there, if he's scoring the ball well, if he's getting the minutes, he's going to pay off at this price tag. And I currently have him projected for 28 FanDuel points. Then we're going to move down to shooting guard. I got Gary Trent Jr. here. He's at $4,600. So we're looking for at least 23 out of him, currently averaging just under 24 so far on the season. The Bucks are on a back-to-back, so there is potential for some guys to sit out on their team. Giannis would probably be the most likely one, and if he's out, obviously there's more usage and more shots to go around just in general, and that could favor a guy like Gary Trent Jr. If you want to call it a revenge game, if that's something you're really into, he did spend some time previously with the Toronto Raptors, so if you're into that revenge game narrative. But typically I'm not somebody that buys too big into that just in general, but I do have Gary Trent Jr. projected modestly for 25-26 FanDuel points. Obviously if Giannis is out, there is definitely some upside for even more. And then we're going to move down to small forward. I went with Franz Wagner here. He's at $7,400. So we're looking for at least 37 fantasy points out of him, pay off at 5 times value. He is currently averaging just over that on the season, goes against the Atlanta Hawks. Should be a pretty favorable matchup there just in general, playing a little bit better as of late. So I definitely do like all the signs in this matchup, going against the Atlanta Hawks, doing a little bit better as of late. And I currently have him projected for 39 FanDuel points. And then we're going to move down to power forward. I ultimately end up on Kristaps Porzingis here. Once again, not a lot of guys that I love at this power forward position, mainly the spend-up options. But if you don't have the money to spend all the way up, Kristaps Porzingis looks like a solid value. We're taking advantage of the versatility here on the FanDuel side where we're able to play him at both center and power forward. He's at $6,500, so we're looking for at least 33 out of him, currently averaging 34 so far in the season. And I do modestly have him projected for 35 FanDuel points. So he definitely looks like a solid, safe play there just in general. It does have a little bit of upside for even more. And then last but not least at that center position, I'm going to go with Isaiah Hartenstein. He's at $6,700, so we're looking for at least 34 out of him. Currently averaging just over 33 so far on the season. If Chet Holmgren ultimately ends up playing, then we're probably going to get off Isaiah Hartenstein. But if he doesn't play, he looks like a really solid value once again. And I currently do have him projected for 36 FanDuel points. But with that being said, if you go with the 5 players that I do have listed here on the FanDuel side, you have $29,900 remaining, just under $7,500 remaining per player. So looking a little bit more like a balanced build type of day. Obviously, we do have a couple additional games on the FanDuel side, so we do have a couple additional players in terms of spend-up options. So if that's something you want to do, definitely can do that and then kind of pay down for some of those other values that are out there. Obviously, with 3 teams being on the back-to-back, there could be value that opens up throughout the day, especially with the potential of either James Harden or Kawhi Leonard sitting out on the back-to-back, potentially both. So there could be value opening up from that Clippers team in a pretty big way. That is something that we will continue to monitor throughout the day. But with that being said, these are my core picks for both DraftKings and FanDuel for Tuesday, November 4th. As always, if you have any questions related to NBA DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And then once again in the morning, I'll be listing my early morning injury report. They have all the injury reports for the teams that are in play that are not on back-to-backs. The 3 teams on back-to-backs will have their injury report later on in the day. So definitely be on the lookout for all that injury news down in the comment section below. And then I will also have an updated core down there about 20-30 minutes prior to lock that will be left as a pinned comment. If there's no changes at that point in time, we'll simply leave a pinned comment that just says no changes at this point in time. If there are any other additional changes beyond that, I will leave them as a reply to that pinned comment as well. And then I will also be listing as many of the starting lineups as I can get to throughout the evening. So definitely be on the lookout for all that information, especially as we do head into lock. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now we have NBA DFS in terms of the core picks, typically Monday through Friday. I will mention for this week, Thursday, we will not be doing a core pick video since it's just a 1-game slate. But other than that, we will have a core pick video Monday through Friday this week. And then I do have my NFL DFS core pick video coming out once a week, and that typically comes out on either Friday or Saturday. Varies a little bit week to week just based on my schedule. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS and Prize Picks. If you are a brand new user on either one of those sites, when you sign up, make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks, it's 100% match up to $100, and then for BetUS, it's 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in NBA DFS for Tuesday, November 4th.